has quickly really turned to spring. We got warm temperatures. We're excited about that. And I am very excited about our guest today. First time on the show. He's become a friend over the years. I've got to hang with him a little bit. Pat Badger, one of the best musicians around. You know him from Extreme and the Dark Desert Eagles, which are touring around right now. Hey, man, how are you?
Drew, it's good to be here, man.
Yeah.
It's nice that we got the windows open.
I know.
Like you're saying. It's
feels
beautiful.
good.
Yeah.
Feels good. And, of course, you were joking. We're wearing black. We should be wearing spring colors or
I know.
something. But
Yeah, where's our, our eggshell
right.
color shirts?
Did you have a good Easter and all that stuff?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah,
nice.
Again, it was another day like this where it was just beautiful to sit outside, put out the furniture, and it was great to be outside for once.
I hope you all had a good Easter out there as well. But that holiday is coming down. And now we go into like music season where like the spring weather, a lot of shows, you're on tour. Let's talk about the Dark Desert Eagles first, because you've been, for people who don't know, you're the front man for this band. Is it your creation officially?
The brainstorm, it started actually through a conversation I had at the Black Cow. The old Black Cow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that the Hamilton one, or is that?
No, the one that, is now the Tuscan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The Newburyport one. Yeah, all right.
But yeah, it was an idea that I had to start for people who don't know about Dark Desert Eagles, it's an Eagles tribute band.
Yep.
But I was inspired years ago by Brad Delp from the band Boston, God rest his soul. But he was the kind of founder or the singer of Beetlejuice,
right.
If people don't know. And I always said, oh wow, look at this guy. He's like a nationally touring musician, famous from singing in Boston. But why does he do a tribute band, a cover band?
Yeah.
And really, it inspired me to start this Eagles tribute band. It's like just singing songs you grew up listening to, and it was kind of like Back to the Egg.
Yeah. And it's something. Brad was he's a Danvers boy, because I'm from Danvers, so
right on.
And he actually was friends with my dad. His band opened for Beetlejuice several times back in the day.
Oh, right on.
So I got to know Brad a little bit, and he was. I always say he was like the sweetest guy. I was young when obviously, because he's been. It's been a while now since he passed away, but he was like the sweetest guy.
Yeah,
I remember that even as a kid. I remember it.
In fact, he sat in, and him and Barry Gaudreau. We played together maybe it was probably like 6 or 7 months right before he passed. So it was
no kidding.
Yeah.
Obviously, you were shocked by that news.
Very shocked. Yeah. Such a sweet guy. But
what a voice too. That voice still. I hear some of those old Boston songs on the radio still, and like just the soaring voice. It's incredible.
His voice was very incredible. And people always talk about best singer. He always gets overlooked. In my opinion, he was one of the best rock singers. And that record, someone asked me the other day what some of my favorite debut records of all times. The two of my favorites were Van Halen 1 and Boston 1. Pound for pound, the songs and the production for the time. You can't go wrong with those records.
No, you can't. No, I mean, you're right. They were great. All right, so that was the inspiration. Very good. And it's born out of Newburyport. What a fun little fact there. The Black Cow in Newburyport. Interesting. The old Black Cow. Very, very good. So what happens? You take that thing. You're probably wondering, will this work, right? Are people interested in an Eagles cover band? I mean, you probably assume the answer was yes, but maybe you had doubts. I don't know. You tell me.
Well, obviously, when you want to start a tribute band, the catalog is key.
Yes.
The Eagles have the number 1 and the number 3 best-selling albums of all time.
So every song.
Yeah, everyone knows every song.
Yeah.
And so I don't think the catalog was ever a question. It was more finding the right musicians and being able to pull it off live was really the key thing. And I have a great network of friends, and friends know friends, and musicians. It's a kind of a tight community of people. So I think finding the right guys. And we had a couple member changes. And even now, if everyone's kind of a mercenary in the band, they have other bands, they have weddings, they do other things. They're all like professional musicians. So once in a while, we have to have fill-in guys, substitutes, and so it's been interesting to find the right pool of musicians to do this. I'm the only one in the band that has done every gig.
Oh, okay, interesting. Do you want to name drop the current members, or?
Yeah. So Dana Spellman is a great friend and drummer. Okay. He and so he plays, like I said, it's very kind of small group of and very incestuous. That he plays in a band with Gary. He does a Slip Kid Who tribute. and he also plays drums in my other friend's Journey tribute.
Okay.
Voyage, which I sat in last summer for Voyage as well.
Oh,
so
nice.
yeah, so it's fun again, just playing songs that we all grew up listening to. And then Tom Appleman is the bassist. He is a professor at Berklee School of Music in the bass department. Joe Pescia, also great guitar player. He plays in Steelheart, which is kind of a 90s metal band.
Yep.
But he plays the Don Felder part in the Eagles tribute. Chris Lester is an amazing. He does the Joe Walsh. We call him Faux Walsh, and he does great slide guitar, and he sings all the like Rocky Mountain Way, Life's Been Good, Funk 49, all the Joe Walsh tunes. So.
Lives the same lifestyle, not necessarily.
He couldn't be opposite. Well, Joe's clean now, but they're both clean and sober guys. Yeah,
it's funny. I think when I saw you guys last year, was that last year in Beverly at the you're playing again this year too?
Yeah, same
this
room.
weekend on a Saturday night in Beverly at the
North Shore Music,
lovely North Shore Music Theater there. Karen Nassambetti, who's been on this show, one of the more popular shows. Karen Nassambetti was on this show, but you guys are at the North Shore Music Theater again. Always good to go back to a returning room, right?
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, we're looking forward to that room.
Yeah, he had the Joe Walsh thing going that night, though. I remember thinking, I was like, oh, look at that. I think he put the hard helmet on. Is that right? It's the
it's the hard hat with the beer cup holders.
Right, that's what it was.
And we do have fun in the show as well, because obviously being in a tribute band, it's not just about going up as ourselves.
Yeah,
you play someone else for a couple hours,
right.
And we dress the part like it's 1977. And there's a likeness to the original classic lineup of the Eagles. I put on the handlebar mustache like Glenn Fry, and it's just a blast to pretend to be someone for 2 hours.
I do think it's that combination though of like you're having fun with it and playing the role, but that mixed with you're there seeing live music from live professional musicians that are just great and playing off each other. I think that combination is what does it for people, right?
I think that is one of the allures of the band, because again, like it would be we throw a lot of humor into it, and it's we watched the Eagles documentary, which if you haven't seen it, it's just it's incredible that of all the bands, the infamous party bands, they were like one of the most the drugs and alcohol and the so they and the infighting in the band. So I always felt it would be kind of fun to bring that into the into the live show as well. So there's a lot of humor and some browbeating that goes on stage and that kind of stuff, and it makes it for a real fun, entertaining show. There's more entertainment value than just playing the songs as ourselves.
That's what it's about, right? Entertainment in the end.
Yeah, and I think, but if we had done all these gags and the jokes and the browbeating and all the stuff that makes people laugh, but if we couldn't pull off the music, it would just be terrible.
Right.
But because we can play the songs, and then we throw in that stuff for to season the steak. It makes for great night.
It may not surprise you. I have seen some tribute bands who cannot pull off the music. Maybe you have too over the years.
Yes, I have. As a
that
matter
will
of fact.
happen. You guys, let's play a little bit here because this is. I can pull this up.
Standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona, such a fine sight to see. It's a girl, my lord, in a flatbed Ford, slow it down and take a look at me. So come on, baby, don't say me.
Watch you guys. I was saying this is Hampton Beach. This promo video. You think?
That was a few years ago. Yeah, in fact. That was the old lineup of guys. We haven't shot a new video with the new guys, but there's a couple. But a lot of fun, Hampton Beach. We're going to be doing that again this summer as well.
It is funny how many hits they had, and you're right. They did live that wild lifestyle too. Some of the wilder rock and roll lifestyles are the Eagles. You think of like not necessarily the hardest rock and music. James Taylor,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's the thing. Everybody knows every song when you go to this thing. Favorite part of the show for you? Is it just a change?
It's hard to say. I mean, there's always certain songs that are just, when it gets toward the end of the set to do like Take It Easy, you feel like you're coasting downhill at that point.
Yeah.
It's always fun. Heartache Tonight's always a great moment because we usually encore with that one, and people get up on their feet and sing, and it's really like a big party. But when you do those iconic songs like Desperado and Hotel California, it's quite a moment because then I can get the whole crowd singing it, and you have the people in the palm of your hand. Where it's we're not really the Eagles, but some people they just people love it. It's just brings them back to a time and place, and you're hearing live music that to go see the real Eagles, which they only have one more original member than us, by the way.
Yes. It's an excellent point.
But you're going to spend $350, $500 a ticket or whatever.
Right.
Where else can you see that catalog of music for like $35, $40?
That is true. I know it is. I mean, ticket prices are crazy right now.
Yeah.
They've always been high, though. I remember looking even before the pandemic. The Eagles were a very pricey ticket.
I remember back in the '90s when they first got back together and did that Hell Freezes Over tour.
Yeah.
I remember it was shocking, and it was the big talk that they were charging $50 a ticket at Great Woods. Jeez.
Wow.
You can't even get parking for that. No.
You can't. Yes, that is true. Oh my goodness, that is crazy. I mean, it is. You'd say time and place, though. That hits the nail on the head because so many of those songs do bring people right back. It's a huge part of the American songbook, and
of course, it's a fabric of America's rock and roll music. And
you ever get to meet them?
I met Don Henley one time.
Yeah,
I met Don. Yeah,
He knew was he asking you all about it?
No, it was a time when it was way before I ever had this idea of doing doing the tribute band. It was I'd say it was early '90s, and he was doing a fundraiser for Walden Woods. That he's involved with the environmental, saving the Walden Woods area. There was talk of building condos out there or something. So he had a fundraiser, and he had Lyle Lovett playing at this fundraiser, and I get invited by who now is the manager of the Dark Desert Eagles. He invited me to this fundraiser, and we met Don, briefly, and this was days before cell phones and selfies, and so I don't have a photo with him or anything, but we talked for a bit about Walden Woods, and we talked a bit about music, and so he was kind, which I know some people can say he notoriously can be unkind. So I was glad I caught him on a good night, but then again, I guess he probably just wanted my money for for Walden Woods.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he's been watching you from a distance. Who's there touring with the? Oh, okay, they're good. I bet they probably do monitor that stuff, right? I would think.
I don't know. Who
you don't
knows?
think so?
I don't know.
Yeah, they probably like to know those things. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would want to know if I was.
If someone was portraying me.
Yeah, I don't know. I would think so. Seems natural. So, all right. So this week, I will say, and I'm not just saying this because you're here. I remember walking out of the North Shore Music Theater last year. And I'll never forget this couple. I kind of knew them. I think they're from my town, I think. Friends with, my parents, maybe. I don't know them that well, but I remember he stopped me and looked me dead straight in the eye. And he goes, "Was that not the best show you have ever seen?"
Really?
And he really enjoyed you guys that night.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So I was like, I just thought it's great. There's no better way to spend a night of music than that. And he said all these things, and I am going to pass that right along to Pat when I see him. So,
that's nice. We've heard a lot of great comments, so it's nice to hear.
There you go.
It's translating and people enjoying it mostly.
Saturday night at the North Shore Music Theater in Beverly. You actually have a friend of this show too opening up for you, right? Francois Simard.
My good friend Francois.
Mine
his
too.
nickname is Frenchie.
Frenchie, yes, I.
He's our friend from Montreal. But he talks funny and he dresses a little flamboyant, but we love him.
Yes, exactly. I call him my favorite French Canadian.
Yeah. So he's opening the show. Great guy. Cool. He does more of like the solo performer where he plays mostly acoustic guitar.
Yep.
You've seen him, but for the people that haven't seen him, he does a lot of that looping and the pedals, and he's like a one-man band. It's interesting to see him put these songs together
with charisma. So there you go. You'll get
no shortage of personality.
Oh, there you go. Again, Pat Badger joining us here. Let's talk a little bit about the olden days. I mean, you guys you just released new music, but I know you have some amazing old Boston and beyond rock stories from the Extreme days. What do you think about rising up with that band? I mean, it must have been kind of a whirlwind, I would think.
It was, especially when I now look back. Now I'm 55, going to be 56 this year. And when I think that when I joined the band, I was 20 years old. So there's most of my life I've been in extreme. And, we started out in the clubs. It was, the music scene was way more fertile back in those days than it is now. There's not a lot of rock clubs. The Channel, this Paradise is still there, but I don't know how many local shows they do. But we used to play at Celebration, Narcissus. There was a place, plenty of places like Bunratty's. All these places. We would just, the Living Room down in Rhode Island. And we'd just make the circle and keep playing these places and building up a following. And, it was, I guess in 1988, so I had only been in the band maybe a year and a half, we started getting some attention and some our original managers. It was two women that one owned a recording studio and then the other, her husband, worked for Epic Records. Yeah. And they... told us, come into the studio, record for free, but we want to manage you. And so we agreed to it, and we one summer, we just recorded maybe 10, 12 songs. Those were our original demos that, got assigned. I'll never forget a guy by the name of Aaron Jacobus from A&M Records came to the Paradise and saw us and said, we want to make records with you guys. And so, the first record came out in 89, and we had limited success. We had... a couple of songs that were in some movies and that kind of thing. And then one song we had called Play With Me, it was in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure in the movie and on the soundtrack. And just this past year, the song was basically re-released on that TV show Stranger Things.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
In the it's fun how that song has kind of come full circle, and it's obviously a timepiece of the '90s, in Stranger Things. But it was really when More Than Words came out. That song was the thing that really just propelled us to new heights. With suddenly we were playing bigger stages. Opening up, on tour for some of our idols that we never imagined. That is really what kind of kicked it all off for us.
For the kids out there, talk about some of those bands you got to play with. That must have been some legends of the
day.
game.
We were opening for David Lee Roth from obviously we're big Van Halen fans. We ended up doing some shows with Aerosmith. And it was some of the first time we'd ever played an arena, you know. So we were like, wow, we made it, And then the next day we'd be at Club 3 in Somerville and be like, oh, okay, we didn't make it yet. But the one show that comes to mind that was like, wow, we've arrived was when we were invited by Brian May from Queen to play the Freddie Mercury tribute concert.
Oh, right.
So when he passed away of AIDS, they had what at the time it was the biggest televised concert of all times. Televised to 1 billion people around the world. I forget how many countries, but people, and it was at Wembley Stadium where if you've seen that Queen documentary, it was where Queen had performed that Live Aid show that was so famous, So here we are on the same stage, and some of the other artists there were like Robert Plant, Roger Daltrey, David Bowie, Elton John. I mean, the list of the A-listers, and then it was Metallica, Extreme, Def Leppard, and Guns N' Roses opened the show. And so here we were we're just a couple of guys from Medford and Malden and Winchester, and here we're on one of the biggest stages in the world. So that was really when it kind of hit us, where wow, this is something really, we've kind of, something actually happened with this.
That
it wasn't
crazy.
just a dream.
I mean, just a sea of people, right?
80,000. I mean, you can look it up on YouTube or whatever. But it was 80,000 people, and we went out and. We actually went on a huge limb that day because we decided to do a medley of Queen songs.
Oh.
So it was the first time that crowd, Queen's, crowd, had heard Queen songs live since Freddie had died, and if we didn't pull it off, it would have been
risky.
the biggest. Yeah, it was risky. It could have been the biggest epic fail of all time. But they were with us right from the beginning, and it was just people still talk about that show to this day, and it's on YouTube if you want to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great thing to point people to. Yeah, so won some fans overseas and around the world because of that whole TV thing.
Oh yeah,
That is fun. Was there ever? I always wondered this about you guys because so much of you. Actually, now's a good time to come full circle. Actually, because you guys got a new video out with a great rock song. I've heard this thing already played on. I know our friends over at WZLX were hammering this thing one night in the iHeart studios. I remember.
Look around you. A little town to find where we find you. If you stay in decay, you'll define you.
This is the new one from you guys, Rise.
Yeah, new song called Rise.
I was excited about this, right?
You can feel it, can you taste it? Take a bite of your life, don't you waste it. Ride the lightning, roll the thunder.
These all look great, by the way. Is this the Rockstar staying active life? My God.
It's staying out of rehab life.
Okay.
We were never a big party band,
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of us have ever had any drug problems.
Yeah.
And I guess staying in the gym.
This is how cool is it to be? You said you're 20 when you joined the band. Here you are in your mid-50s in 2023 releasing a song like that still has radio jockeys getting excited about. It must be like super rewarding to feel that.
We haven't put out a record in a little bit. It's been a minute, so it's great to see the reaction we're getting on this track. There's a lot of guitar players coming out of the woodwork just like raving about Nuno's solo and his playing.
Yeah.
And of course, I've always known, we've known that he's one of the best rock guitar players in the world. So it's exciting that the track is getting a lot of attention. And can you believe in a little over a month it's had 2 million views on YouTube, which is just
that right?
Yeah, really blew us away. To put in perspective, the last record we put out, which was 15 years ago, none of the videos even have 2 million views.
Wow.
In 15 years.
15 years, no kidding.
So this did it in a month. So people are pretty excited about it.
That is kind of the world now. You throw it out there to all the social medias now, everything and all.
Well, here comes the guitar solo. So the pyrotechnics.
Did he say this? His words, a little bit of a tribute to Eddie Van Halen, or is that just what people were hearing? Yeah.
This bit, yeah.
He is something. So what are you guys? So you opened for Aerosmith again, right? At Fenway, what was that? Just a year or two ago? Or?
Yeah, it was just this past
September. Yeah. So I lose all track of time coming.
That was an incredible experience. It was surreal to be. We've played some big stages with Aerosmith. We've done some soccer stadiums overseas and whatever.
Yeah.
But to be at home at Fenway in such an iconic place that as a little kid I used to go to sit in the bleachers.
Yeah.
To be on stage there, it was a pretty incredible feeling, and especially in the light that because of COVID, that show was postponed twice.
Oh, that's right.
And I never thought it was going to happen. It finally got to a point where, okay, it's not going to happen this year either. Okay, I don't think this is ever going to fly.
Yeah.
It was Aerosmith's big 50th anniversary show.
Yeah.
So it was an honor to be asked by them to be the other band from Boston, representing.
Yeah.
And it was a thrill. Especially to have our kids in the audience and stuff. It was just pretty incredible.
I like the whole joining the mic, all three of you there. That's It's a great song. I really do like. Every time I hear it, I like it. It's you never. You never know what you're going to get with the new. You never know if bands are going in a different direction, and they're rocking here, and then it's a fun ride.
It's a very diverse record. So Extreme's always been known for, obviously More Than Words was our biggest hit.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask you leading into this. Is that weird for you guys? Like, because, you have so much music that is like this. So many people love the rock music you guys do. And then there's your biggest hit. It's like, I love what you guys did with the video. It's a hilarious video. If I remember correctly, do you walk out with a bass and then you just kind of sit down? It's very funny.
They wanted me and the drummer to participate in the video, even though we didn't play on the song. And so we kind of made it a rehearsal room atmosphere, and we're just kind of hanging out, reading magazines while they're, practicing the song, right? But of course, that was our biggest hit. And it's funny that, like, even if people haven't heard of the band Extreme, you say, oh, More Than Words, and they're like, oh yeah, I know that song More Than Words. So it was like the song kind of in some ways became bigger than the band. Yeah. But we've always had a wide variety of music on our albums. This album, no exception. There's a lot of twists and turns, and we grew up listening to a lot of different kind of things, and a lot of inspiration there to draw from. So if you're expecting a record like AC/DC where there's 10 of the similar songs, you're not going to get it with Extreme.
How does that work within the band too? Because everybody knows bands can be tough, especially when you're bringing all those different points of views. Do you guys have a pretty good relationship where it's everybody's free to chime in? Let's do this. Let's try this. That sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's obviously welcome to share ideas or whatever. Yeah. But it's funny. I was talking about this earlier with somebody else where that can cause resentment and tension in the band, and we're no different than every other band I'm sure has this, because when you create something, it's almost like your kid, your baby or whatever, and if someone says, I don't like that one, then you're like, what's wrong with my kid? What do you mean you don't like my kid? You think your kid's better than my kid?
Yeah, exactly.
So that can I'm sure every band kind of goes through that kind of thing. So it's nice to have that creative process like in the rearview mirror, and now we can just go out and focus and have fun and play shows and get on the tour bus and travel around the world.
Whenever I think about that, I always think I'm a big Springsteen guy, and I remember reading his book, and he's talking about the Jungle Land solo with Clarence, and he sat there for like an absurd amount of time, like literally a full day almost, changing. No, this way, and Bruce doesn't play saxophone, so he's trying to tell the saxophone player, it doesn't sound like this, no, it's not that. He goes, looking back on it, a young me, it must have been infuriating there, listening to this guy who doesn't play saxophone.
Right, he heard something in his head. It's like, can you make it come out of that thing? Well,
Yeah. He also said the key to keeping bands together in the early days was find people with nowhere else to go, which he also had. So I always like that line. I thought.
That's good.
But I always think about that when keeping bands together. But so this would be the fun time for you. Are you one of those guys who always likes having the multiple projects? Like, I mean, all you guys in Extreme have gone and done different things. I think I saw Nuno in the halftime show with Rihanna there for a second.
He was in there for a second.
They kept that thing on Rihanna most of that show, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they spent too much on the dancers. Yeah. On those, people in the white sperm suits.
Yes, whatever those were.
Weird. Yeah. But we all like having different projects. It keeps it fresh. For me, I've been playing bass and singing background vocals in Extreme now for 30 plus years. So to sing lead vocal and play rhythm guitar in the Dark Desert Eagles and have nothing to do with Extreme, it's fun to do multiple things to keep it fresh. And then I go back to bass. I go, it's fun to play bass.
Yeah. So it keeps you sharp a little bit in that way.
Oh, yeah.
And do you get the, I mean, I know the road, anybody will tell you, when you're playing a lot of shows, the road can be a grind. Is it still those moments on stage, though, for you that are always uplifting, that adrenaline rush kicks in? And
we haven't done a full-fledged bus tour where we're gone for months at a time. So it's kind of exciting at this point to go, we're going to, get back on the horse and go do that.
Gotcha.
We've done a lot of Weekend Warrior stuff or short tours. It's never been more than a month away. So this is going to be months that we're about to, travel and, get to see the world. We're going to be from here to Sydney, Australia, to, Tokyo, and then we're going to do a run of, in the U.S. it's going to be in August. We're going to do a whole coast-to-coast tour.
Cool.
And then we're going to South America in June as well. to play a big festival down there, and that'll be great. We're about to go on the Monsters of Rock cruise.
Wow.
So we get on a cruise ship with a bunch of other bands, and we go down the Caribbean and hit the Dominican, and so we get to travel, and that's great. It's fun.
Yeah.
We'll see. After being away for months at a time, you do get kind of homesick, but.
And you're going to be animal sick. People don't know. You live right around here. You got a farm over there.
Oh,
and,
yeah. So there's a lot at home to miss, and obviously you miss the people at home.
Yeah.
But, I'm excited to get back out and play. But I do tell people, you would ask me, the time on stage really is, you would do that part for free. You would pay to do that part because it's so much fun and rewarding.
Yeah.
We get paid to travel. Mm-hmm. To be sitting on a bus, to sit on a plane. I mean, the flight to Brazil is going to be 10 hours just to go play one show. Yeah. So, the couple hours on stage, that's like the reward for getting there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so there's a lot of stresses that come without just the music. That's what you're telling me in the music business? Yeah,
all the people that think it's glamorous, yeah.
Yep, no, I hear. All right.
You get to Japan, it's time to do a show, and your time clock is opposite of everybody else. It's like you feel like collapsing and going to bed when it's time to, get on stage, and then, you get back to the hotel room, and then you're staring at the ceiling, and it's like, okay, it's 5 a.m. here in Japan, but I can't sleep.
And then you're probably trying to cram it too, because you got to make the money work. You're traveling with a lot of people. That's
Yeah, you try to do as many shows possible and have as few days off, because few days off, the days off cost you money. Yeah. Hotels, crew salaries, the bus, whatever. So yeah, it's a grind. It can get to be a little bit of a grind.
Huh. But you wouldn't trade it for anything.
No, I would not. It's what I wanted to do when I was a kid, and luckily enough that I was, I've been fortunate enough to be able to do this for a living.
I mean, you joined that band when, you can't even drink in the bars. You're 20.
I was underage playing, and just walking in the back door, getting up on stage playing, then I had to leave.
Oh, wow. Some of those places actually made you leave?
Oh, yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, back in the day, if you didn't have a wristband, you weren't going to get a drink at the bar.
Oh, my God. That must have been surreal.
Yeah. Yeah, I was playing a lot of those clubs even when I was in high school.
Yeah. Huh.
That's when I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Was it high school you kind of fell in love with it?
I think, middle school into high school.
Yeah. Somebody teach you, or did you just stumble upon?
My brother played guitar and sang.
Yep.
So I was always exposed to... music at a young age. He would turn me on to The Who, Beatles, Stones, a lot of that kind of stuff. And then, then when I discovered bands like Van Halen and Kiss and stuff, I kind of went into... My brother wasn't really into all that. But we share a lot of the similar, inspiration.
Gotcha.
And so it was like when I was in middle school, or, there was just a bunch of guys from my class who were like, oh, we have a little, basement band, but we need a bass player. And I was like, well, I'll get a bass. I'll try that. I know a few chords on guitar, but, just learned how to play to records, Yeah. And then learning how to play the songs I grew up listening to,
It's grinds. Came natural to you, huh?
I remember figuring out how to play the intro Sweet Emotion on bass. Yeah. And then that's why these kind of full circle moments are surreal. When I'm standing on stage at Fenway opening for Aerosmith after, when I was a young kid learning Sweet Emotion.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff must cross your mind up there. I would be super nostalgic about all that stuff.
And I thought of like times where I sat with my mother. She used to love the Red Sox, and she passed away years ago. But, I thought of her that day. And, just thinking about, we sat up in those seats watching if she could only be here to see this,
Yeah. Well, gee, man, those are crazy moments. It's amazing what music can do with all that stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
Again,
It's opened a lot of doors for me.
Oh, and showing you the world, yeah, it's crazy, right? Pat Badger joining us of Extreme. You can catch him with the Dark Desert Eagles around here. You can catch him Saturday night in Beverly, North Shore Music Theater. Very cool venue if you haven't been there. It's right near where I live in Danvers. It's a staple. It has been there my whole life, actually, that place. So very cool. Quick thank you to the Sarah Hayden, the boss, Sarah Blackstone, puts all the pieces together here. And, of course, Maeve Power back in the house joining us, technical director today. Good to see Maeve again. Can you do a minute of rapid fire with us? First time on the show. We tend to force people into answering these very, very difficult questions.
I'll try, but
Just kidding. They're not that difficult. Couple easy ones. Right? Our favorite food right off the bat.
Sushi.
Oh, all right. That's the second show in a row we've had sushi. Favorite movie?
Star Wars.
All right, Star Wars guy.
Only because
Yeah.
I'm not like one of these big Star Wars geeks.
Yeah.
But like when I thought of just how a movie kind of changed it all when you were a kid.
Yeah. No, I get that. Although I do think I've had this conversation before because I liked Star Wars is cool. I get why people like it, but it doesn't quite connect with me like it does with my parents. And I think they said to me one day like it's because you didn't live through it. Like when that thing came out, that was game changer.
It was a game changer.
Like it just was, and I understand.
And I was right at that age. I was like 10 years old or whatever when it came out. So
but I mean, it still stood the test of time. I mean, I have cousins who have had kids, and they love it.
Oh,
so it's not necessarily it stood the test of time certainly. Let's say favorite venue in the world to play. Was it Wembley?
Well, I would say Wembley.
Yeah.
But the one that we played has now been torn down, so I've never played the new Wembley.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. That was the old Wembley, yeah.
But I don't know. Coming off of Fenway, it's hard to not say Fenway.
Might be Fenway? All right. I heard that was a very fun night there. Who is the nicest man in rock and roll?
Brian May from Queen.
Brian, no kidding. That's, all right.
Yep.
Interesting.
What you see in his interviews is what you get. Like, just he's a humble sweetheart of a guy.
So there's probably some truth that he really kept Queen together there for a while. Usually,
could be, yeah. Because Freddie went off the rails at one point, like where he, went in a solo and he's binging on, substance abuse and whatever. I think Brian was the one that probably the glue that kept it together.
Interesting. Yeah. Do I get to hear the meanest man in rock and roll or woman? You don't have to spill on that. It's okay. That's an unfair one.
I don't know. I mean, I've had a couple bad experiences with people, but I'm like, maybe they were just having a bad day.
Yeah, you do got to give people that, right? Like, I always think to that. When you start hearing it over and over again, then you might say, okay, but yeah, there's people do have bad days. What's the favorite city you've seen that the music has taken you on?
I know this is supposed to be rapid fire, but it's hard because there's so many cool cities in the world that I've been to that, for different reasons,
Yeah.
God, that's tough. I mean, I could say for just the beauty of a city, Paris is one of the most exquisite places.
Okay. How about shocked about like reception? Was there a place where you go, wow, they know our stuff here?
That happens almost everywhere we go. I'm like, wow, they really know who we are in Indonesia or wherever, But yeah, I mean, there's so. I mean, again, it's hard to even say one place. There's so many. That we've traveled that I've just I'm anxious to go back.
Favorite. What's your favorite song to play with Extreme? Like, just maybe it's not one of the more popular ones. Is there one personal favorite for you?
Probably Get the Funk Out because it's probably one of the more memorable bass lines that people always point to. It's just a fun one, and the bass kind of opens the song, so that's always that's kind of my sweet emotion moment, I suppose.
Gotcha. All right. And I'll do this as the last one because it's a good one. We get a lot of like guys that come in here and they'll play, and it can be anywhere from grinding on the bar scene to when there's TVs on and people talking or people, but a lot of talent out there. But it is a tough world to make it in. What is your best professional advice to the young musician? We'll end with that one, I think.
I guess. Stick to your guns because what inspires you, you can't fake it. You can't say, "Oh, I'm gonna do this, and this so that I can achieve this goal." You have to it really has to be part of your DNA or your passion. So you do, and you can't give up. You know, we had plenty of instances where the answer was no, or you didn't get this tour, or you didn't, you know, but then all these other amazing things have happened to us, and you just have to be, you know, you got to persevere and just, you know, get ready for the door to slam you in the face, you know, 100 times, and then that one time it'll open.
With all those no's, did Extreme ever have a moment where they were like just down? You guys as a band, like, you know what, maybe we're not gonna.
Yeah, there was a time. I remember it was the end of the first album tour. It was before, you know, our big success, and it was kind of like, you know, we had moderate success, but then I remember there was like this glimmer of hope that they, you know, the tour was almost over. We were talking about making a new record, and they were like, there's an opening, you guys are up for the AC/DC tour. And we're like, whoa, that's a big tour. Right? So we're talking like suddenly you could be out there for months, you know, playing stadiums or whatever.
Yeah, that'll pay the bills for a while.
And get you in front of a new audience or a lot of people, you know. We didn't get the tour. So it was kind of like one of those, it was kind of a letdown thing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in the mid-'90s, when the whole grunge movement came in, every band from our genre just was swept under the rug. And it was like, party's over.
Yeah.
You know, now everyone wants to just hear grunge. You know, all the record companies were shooting up to Seattle to sign Soundgarden and, you know, coming off of, you know, Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all those bands. Suddenly, you know, bands like us, we were just out of favor. It was like, oh, we're, you know, swipe, you know, you're under the rug now, and we're going with this new sound.
Yeah.
You know, but then eventually, you know, and I'm talking, this happened to everybody from, you know, Bon Jovi to Van Halen to whoever. It was like suddenly the whole, you know, climate changed. And then, but as time goes on, obviously, you know, now there's kids that are kind of interested in playing guitar again. Yeah. You know, and not just staring at their shoelaces while they're on stage. They want to, you know, dress like rock stars again or whatever.
It's funny how that happens, right?
Things come back around. And again, that's why I say, you know, with musicians, you stick to what you do, because you can't chase trends and you can't chase, you know, what's happening, because you just, you know, you have to be true to yourself. You know?
Yeah, that is great advice right there. I'm going to play us out with some little Dark Desert Eagles. Let's do that to end here. Again, if you want to see these guys, Dark Desert Eagles, Pat Badger leading the band. He'll be in Beverly Saturday night. And then if you want to find more tour dates, you get a website you want to put out there?
Of course, it's darkdeserteagles.com.
There you go. All right.
And there's only one S in desert, by the way.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many people like have sent me a message. Hey, how's the Dark Desert Eagles going? You know,
that is funny. You know what? I always remembered that back in the day was, I think it was a teacher in probably first grade told me everybody likes dessert, right? You like it a lot, so you add the extra S. That's how I always remembered it.
Yeah.
To this day, some first grade teacher of mine.
To this day, I can't believe how many adults there don't know how to spell it.
That'll happen, most definitely. Pat Badgerman, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I'm playing out here with a little bit of this stuff. This has been a lot of fun. We gotta rope you in for another show too. So once you're on once, you know you're on the list now.
Right on. Yeah. Maybe I'll come spin some vinyl records.
Yeah, we got a lot of records around here. Yeah. There you go. Again, thanks to the Sarah Hayden, Sarah Blackstone, and Maeve Power putting the show together. Our small but mighty team here in Newburyport. Big thanks to Pat Badger of Extreme and the Dark Desert Eagles. Go check them around here in the spring and Saturday night in Beverly, North Shore Music Theater. My name is Drew Moholland. This has been live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Next time, we'll see you.
Thanks, Drew.
All right.